How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Yeah, my royal family, you see how much time I have dedicated to this video. Y'all know what time it is. Stop everything you're doing. Bust out that weed. In fact, roll you a flat ass blunt. Go get whatever you got to drink. I got my grape juice on deck. Ice, plenty lemon. Because this shit is juicy, juicy, juicy. Oh, so juicy to me. So, many know what's going on. The Mueller report is out. And, oh, I have it too, my royal family. I'm going to make sure that you have it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to make sure you have it. And, I have a video that is very necessary for the royal family to listen to. But, we're not surprised that Trump is a outright liar. I mean, he lied to his fucking core. This dude is a trip. You know, he is doing his job, and now the space and time that we are in, the whole world. He's on the public stage. The whole world have access to all of this. Now we know he did everything that he could to slow it down. Barr, his big greasy ass, lied through his teeth and did everything, and that Trump said. And if I was a fly on the wall, I think he told him this morning, "You better not put that shit out, motherfucker." And he said, "Well, I have to. I have to." You know, Trump don't follow no rules. And I think Trump have illusions of grandeur. He wants you to kiss the ring and, you know, all that shit and stuff. And I'm gonna keep it core with y'all. I'm gonna play this video, and I'm gonna keep it real core with y'all. What I think is gonna end up happening with all of this stuff, because Trump truly need to be locked down. But anyway, my royal family, so kick back, put your heels up, and I'm gonna play this video, and it will speak for thyself. Let's get that going. Let's see, let's fresh it up. Let's see what we got.
I spent much of this morning, as you might imagine, as indeed I think many did around the country, reviewing the Mueller report, or those sections of it that were not redacted. And I'd like to share with you some early observations from what I've been able to read so far. First, as we reported some time ago, and as the intelligence community disclosed as well, there was an extensive campaign by the Russians to interfere in our elections in 2016. That interference took many forms, but most significantly it took the form of an effort through social media to divide the country, to push out favorite narratives, to assist the Trump campaign on social media through a massive effort led by the Internet Research Agency out of St. Petersburg. It also embarked on an effort to hack and dump emails from the Democratic campaign of Hillary Clinton, from her campaign manager John Podesta, and other efforts through their hacking and dumping operation to influence the outcome in the election. These efforts, similar to the social media campaign, were designed to help one party, Donald Trump, and hurt another, Hillary Clinton. There were also efforts through any number of meetings between Russians and Trump campaign people to exert influence, a covert influence operation mounted by the Russians that continued during the campaign as well as after the campaign. And I want to make several points about these findings for what we can tell so far from the Mueller report. First, the Attorney General did a grave disservice to the country by misrepresenting significant parts of the Mueller report, by attempting to put a positive spin for the president on the special counsel's findings. The Attorney General is not the president's personal lawyer, although he may feel he is. He is supposed to be the highest law enforcement officer in the land, and he is supposed to represent the interests of the American people. But when the Attorney General gives the perception that the president fully cooperated in the investigation when he didn't, that they provided all the information materials when they didn't, when the president in fact deprived the special counsel of perhaps the single most important piece of evidence, that is his own verbal testimony, that misleads the American people. When the Attorney General represents on the obstruction case or suggests that the special counsel desired him to make that decision, that the special counsel wasn't mindful of the Office of Legal Counsel opinion that a special counsel cannot indict a sitting president, when the Attorney General mischaracterizes the report in that way, he does a disservice to the country. A few things leap out about the substantive allegations on obstruction of justice and the issue of conspiracy. On the issue of obstruction of justice, the report outlines multiple attempts by the president to mislead the country, to interfere with the investigation, to make false statements to the American people, and to urge others to lie to the American people, to urge those of his staff to take actions to further obstruct the investigation, which may have been refused, but they were not refused owing to any goodwill or good motive on the president's part, far to the contrary. That these actions had a material impact on the investigation, that in fact the special counsel was deprived of information, or at least the timely access to that information as a result of things that the president did and said. It made our job, certainly in our committee doing our investigation, that much more difficult, as it did the special counsel's investigation. Those acts of obstruction of justice, whether they are criminal or not, are deeply alarming in the President of the United States. And it's clear that Special Counsel Mueller wanted the Congress to consider the repercussions and the consequences. It is clear the special counsel believed that no one was above the law, and that includes the President of the United States. The Attorney General's actions would make the President above the law, would make the President such that he cannot commit the crime of obstruction of justice. That was not the special counsel's view. If the special counsel, as he made clear, had found evidence exonerating the President, he would have said so. He did not. He left that issue to the Congress of the United States, and we will need to consider it. On the issue of conspiracy, and again in contrast to what the Attorney General represented, as I have said all along, each of the acts that I enumerated, each of the meetings, each of the contacts is not only spelled out in this report, corroborated in this report, but additional contacts and acts are also itemized. It gives us more information than the public knew about these illicit contacts between the Trump campaign and the Russians, whether they rise to the level of a criminal conspiracy or not. And contrary to what the Attorney General represented, the special counsel makes it clear he did not consider collusion, as that colloquial term is understood, but rather whether the facts amounted to the crime of conspiracy. And on that issue, in fact, in the case of the Trump Tower meeting, he found that while there was evidence, he could not establish two parts of the crime. That in fact Don Jr. did accept the offer of Russian help, but that he could not establish with admissible evidence either the willful intent by Kushner or Don Jr. or Manafort to violate the law, or that the material they received was sufficiently damaging to meet the statutory definition. That is a far cry from saying there is no evidence. That is the special counsel's determination that notwithstanding the evidence on this issue involving Trump Tower and other interactions, like the provision of polling data by Manafort, which we have learned today was far more ongoing than we knew, that the special counsel could not establish a criminal conspiracy beyond a reasonable doubt and to the satisfaction of a jury. So these are the overall conclusions. But let me just say, to sum up, and then I'll be happy to go to your questions. As I said some time ago, whether these acts are criminal or not, whether the obstruction of justice was criminal or not, or whether these contacts were sufficiently illicit or not to rise to the level of a criminal conspiracy, they are unquestionably dishonest, unethical, immoral, and unpatriotic, and should be condemned by every American. That is not the subject of vindication. That is the subject of condemnation. And that is how I think we should view the Mueller report. And I'm happy to go to your questions.
Did the Mueller report adequately address all your questions regarding conspiracy or collusion, or do you have additional questions you hope will be answered by your committee?
There are sections certainly that are redacted in the report, some that clearly go to facts that are not being presented to the public, that would shed light on additional either illicit contacts or the nature of those contacts between the Russians and the Trump campaign. But other sections that are almost completely redacted go to the prosecutorial judgment. And that is when the special counsel looked at the evidence of conspiracy on these particular incidents, and in particular vis-a-vis WikiLeaks and the disclosure of that information, the contacts between the Trump campaign and WikiLeaks, the sections on the exercise of that prosecutorial judgment, why the special counsel concluded what the counsel did, have been largely redacted. And we need to know that information. So we will be seeking the complete and unredacted report, again, so that we can do our proper oversight. One other matter that is very important to point out, and that is that, as the special counsel makes clear in the report, the counterintelligence findings are not completely included in this report. That in fact there were FBI agents embedded in the special counsel's team who were looking at the issue of compromise or counterintelligence, and that some of that information is not included. Others, of course, it may be included but redacted. Our committee, the Intelligence Committee, has requested that Mueller come and testify. We want to understand exactly what was found in terms of any counterintelligence efforts, any efforts by the Russians to make use of U.S. persons, particularly those affiliated with the Trump campaign, as witting or unwitting agents of the Russian government.
Chairman, the president tweeted out "game over." Is it game over? And has your opinion about articles changed at all as a result of what you read today?
Well, it's certainly not game over in the sense that there's a lot more that we need to know that's redacted in this report. And again, this report only goes to what is criminal or not criminal. Other actions that may have compromised the president or others around him may or may not be even included in the report. In the interest of making sure that our policy is driven by the best interests of the country and not by the personal or financial interests of the president or anyone around him, we need to find out the answers to that. But we will certainly be guided by the good investigative work that the special counsel has done. It is not our intention to redo all the painstaking work the special counsel has conducted. Indeed, it wouldn't be possible for us to do so. The special counsel had at his access a bevy of FBI agents, subpoenas, grand juries, etc., that we do not have advantage of. This is one of the reasons why it's so important for the Congress to be able to obtain this information, so we do not have to recreate the wheel. But it is important to note that the facts that are now established by this report are damning. Whether they could or should have resulted in the indictment of the president or people around him, they are damning. And we should call for better from our elected officials. The standard cannot simply be that you can do anything you like as long as you can declare at the end of the day, I am not a crook. That is not the ethical standard the American people expect in their president. Well, Kellyanne Conway clearly hasn't read the report, because if she had, she would see that all the facts that I've alluded to are not only spelled out, but they're spelled out in far greater detail than I have. But look, this is coming from someone who invented alternate facts, and apparently she is continuing to cling to her alternate facts.
Has Robert Mueller responded to your invitation to testify and that the Attorney General should resign?
We've made two requests of the special counsel. First, we've made the request for the counterintelligence findings and the underlying evidence. And it's very important to understand that the Justice Department has a statutory obligation to provide us with counterintelligence or foreign intelligence. And so they're required to provide that. Now, some of that is documentary evidence, but we have also asked for his physical testimony. We have not received a response to that yet. But the Attorney General did say during his press conference today that he would not oppose that. and we will fully expect them to comply with both of those requests. In terms of Barr, look, I think he's done a deep disservice to the country, and frankly, he should have never been confirmed without committing to recusing himself from this entire investigation. As we all know, he applied for the job by writing a 19-page legal memo setting out why he thought an obstruction case against the president would not lie, that it was a bogus theory. And he made good on that job application in what he did today and what he has done thus far. So I think it was a grave error by the Senate to confirm him without requiring his recusal. In terms of beyond that, I don't want to comment.
And how would you describe your thoughts on the fact that the president did not sit for an interview now that the record? Is that a disservice as well? Or do you stand on it?
Well, it's certainly a disservice to the country and to getting to the bottom of the facts that the president was unwilling to do what he said he would. Not the first time the president has reneged on a commitment. It is one thing to ask for written answers to questions. You then get the lawyer's answers. You get Rudy Giuliani's answers or Jay Sekulo's answers. You don't get the president's answers. When you have the opportunity to interview someone in person, you have the opportunity to do follow-up questions and get to the truth. That was not allowed to happen. As I suspected, and I said while this was going on, I thought it was a mistake not to subpoena the president. But as I expected, the special counsel did set out his considerations, and I think foremost among them was the president would fight it, he would have to litigate it, and that would lengthen his investigation. But I think it means the American people were deprived of important information.
Congressman, forgive me, I got here a little bit late. If you've already asked this question, I understand. But if not, does what you saw today in this report rise to the level where impeachment should be considered?
We need to look at the full report. Certainly what Bob Mueller has revealed on the obstruction of justice issue is the most concerning, because that, of course, involves the president's own conduct, his own falsehoods to the American people, his efforts to get other people to tell lies, his effort to deter people from cooperating with the investigation, his effort to reward those who stuck to the party line, all of which, of course, Bill Barr conveniently ignored in his press conference today. All of that is damning conduct by the President of the United States. And I think we need some time to let this sink in and understand the full repercussions for the country of having a president who lies to the country, who misleads the country, who urges others to do so, and frequently on a daily basis, but most significantly when it concerns an investigation into Russian interference in our election. This was an attack on American sovereignty. This was an attack on American democracy, and that a president would not only not cooperate with it, but would tell repeated falsehoods, and would not sit down and allow the special counsel to ask questions, would in Helsinki take the Vladimir Putin's word over his own intelligence agencies. All of that needs to be considered by the Congress and the country in terms of what it means about the President of the United States. Thank you.
All right, my royal family. So, now what I think is going to truly happen is nothing more than a public shaming. That's really what I think. You know, they're going to have their dog and pony show. They're going to have, you know, people speak on both sides, and, you know, naturally Trump's people going to, you know, say what they say, and then the Democratic Party going to say what they say, and they have to make the right business decision too as well. I don't think they will impeach him because they getting, you know, these other candidates is preparing to get ready to run, you know, run against him and stuff. But I have went through quite a bit of the different articles, not the report, and his, you know, his son-in-law and his children are included, and some of it is funny and disgusting and everything. And let me show y'all something here that I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to make sure the royal family have, because I emailed it to myself. I have the report, and let's see here. There we go. Right here. So here's the report right here. So you just scroll on up. Oops, let me break this up. And naturally, you're gonna see it's 400 pages. And what tickles me is when I see shit like this, putting them blotters on there. In some pages, this is like the whole fucking page, but it's still damning. I know that the Congress, they want to see the full report, not having all this shit up here and stuff. And we're going to see the full report too, because once they get their hand on it, basically what they do is unquote leak. So we will be getting bits and pieces of that too, you know, because I want to see all of it, you know, and stuff. And it just shows you how greasy and grimy Trump really is. And he's nothing more than a man child. He has always had somebody bail him out on his shit. His parents, they were horrible parents. And so he's always had somebody right there by his side. Because, you know, Trump ain't, you know, too bright. You know how he figures shit out. He watch TV. He don't read at all, and stuff. And but I had to give it to Mueller. He did what he had to do, and he know how this whole system work realistically. Ain't much gonna be done, but like again, they gonna have that dog and pony show, and they still coming after him for his taxes, and it's nothing more to me than letting Trump know you can be touched. But you know what gets me about Trump is this dude, I mean, the level of lying is ridiculous. That the things that he lied about don't make no sense, and it just lets you know when somebody lie on that level, they don't have consideration for nobody. They are really wrapped in they world. He's in his world. He don't have truth in him. He go to bed lying, he get up lying, but he has a attention span of a 2-year-old, and he, you know, one of them dudes that just have meltdown after meltdown after meltdown. Everything's supposed to go his way. But I was telling my husband when they had announced a couple of weeks ago that that Mueller had concluded his report and everything, he came out braggadocious and told outright lies because they had their hands on it, and that he was fully exonerated. There was no collusion, obstruction. You know, these are new words for Trump. And stuff, and he makes me sick when he say collusion. I mean, he go on and on. It's like, wow, that's a new word. I never heard that, and all this type of stuff. And he one of them people. He don't know how to be humble and be quiet. And that's something that I was listening to some politician. They were saying the difference between Clinton and Trump. When Clinton was going through that impeachment process, he knew how to keep his ass quiet and busy. This motherfucker got to be on the world stage. So, he's representing Esau to its core, the core Esau. This is their leadership, and it goes back to what my dear grandfather said, Dr. James Alfred Newman Sr. And I've told this story before. And he told this to me in the 80s. I'll never forget that day. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. He said, when this empire shuts down, it will be the shortest and the dumbest empire ever in recorded history. You know, I'm in my early 20s, and I wasn't into politics or anything like that, and I couldn't fully comprehend it all back then. Okay, now I'm in my 50s, and my grandfather, the genius that he was, was absolutely right, because I'm a bit of a history buff, and we ran empires for thousands of years, thousands, intact. And this, this also goes back to when I had made a statement. I said when Barack Obama became the president, the way that our true enemies look at that White House is forever tainted. My royal family, Babylon fell a long time ago. And when she fell, many things were revealed. She'll never get back up. So we're looking at charades and illusions, and the things that were prophesied to happen to Esau is just a matter of time. And what we need to be doing, we keep an eye on stuff. Separate from the enemy as much as possible. Get your house in order. Family only. Family only. Your immediate situation. I keep saying this because people say, what do we do? What do we do? Don't look at it on a big grand scale. When you deal with your immediate situation in your individual households, with your individual families, if we're all doing what we need to be doing, that energy naturally bleeds out in the community. And it don't have to be the masses. It don't. But this is it, my royal family. Like I often say, I know what I seen, and I know what I heard in the spirit world. I was there. I was truly there. And I know the rumbles that I heard and the faint screams. One of the most amazing experiences of my life. Like I said, I talk about it damn near every day. And then you got that diehard group out there that coon out and wanna, like, I don't take no one's talking points, like KD say. These coons want them crumbs off of Lucifer's plate. It ain't gonna be no more crumbs, because what's gonna happen to the coons now is, since they cannot control us and they tired of hearing about ADOS, the enemy that you're looking at is saying, okay, since you can't control your people, you gotta go. See, the shelf life of a coon. Soon as they coon out, they it's already dust on your ass. You have nowhere to go. This is some serious shit that I'm talking about. Yeah, we're gonna laugh and we're gonna have our fun at this public shaming, but I must say this to the royal family. I must say these things, and I have to repeat myself because more new people are coming to this channel. So anybody that's new to the true royal family, I have a tendency to get spiritual. I have been told that I quote the Bible, don't know the Bible. I try my best to study the Bible, and that's where y'all help me at with scriptures. I invite the scriptures. I really do, and stuff. And anyhow, I went on a tangent there. But anyhow, at the end of the day, this shit is funny to me. Cause this motherfucker, he just figure everything's supposed to just go his way. And this is where I started. That's how that's how we really need to see this motherfucker. Shackled down. I would have a chain around his waist, between his legs. You know how they do some of them brothers when they shackle them down in these state prisons and stuff like that? That's how he need to be. These people are despicable. They're nothing more than gangsters in suits. And they want us to go along and get along with their antics. I was listening to that old goofball, what's her name? Kelly something. I forget. I didn't know that woman was a lawyer. Y'all see her right there. Now it's time to, we need to stop all this foolishness, and now it's time for us to work for America and get down to business. Oh, now y'all want to get down to business when this idiot right here has been exposed for more of his antics and his lies and his charades. Oh, now it's time to go about the business of taking care of this country. y'all fucking playing and stuff. You can't rely on the government for shit. We're on our own out here, which is a beautiful thing, and we need to come together. Don't watch them like that to that extent, because they've been watching us so long, they ain't took care of their immediate situation. And one day I'll tell y'all again, for the new people, to the true royal family, that we won the war a long time ago. I'll pinpoint it. I'll just kind of leave that suspense because some know and some don't know and everything. But I'm just giving my best opinion. I just feel like ain't much gonna be done. It's just nothing more than a public shaming. It might humble him. It might not. He might get louder. But one thing I do know, it's affecting him. It is that much. So he's bringing stress on himself. But Trump, loves chaos and disorder and disruptions and distractions, and that takes a toll on you eventually. He ain't getting younger at all, and you know how they age, like a damn banana. Anyway, my royal family, I hope that whoever had they fat ass blunts, that you got your good ass high and stuff, because the white boy, he spoke on it, and it is what it is. So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.